thoughts now on the China-Japan relations. We are joined by Xiaohui, Assistant Researcher from the China Institute of International Studies. Thanks for joining us. I just want to get to something that a senior Chinese political advisor said very recently. He said that the relationship between China and Japan is at its grimmest level since the two countries normalized diplomatic relations in 1972. What is behind this deterioration in the relationship?
Well, I have to say that the relationship between China and Japan has been going quite well after we normalized the relationship. Even though we have some disagreements, we have some disputes with each other, we have the wisdom to resolve all the problems. The current tension is basically because of Japan's unilateral action concerning the Diaoyu Islands. We know very clearly what the Japanese government did last year, the so-called state-owning purchase of the islands. That caused the escalation of tension in East China Sea. And the current situation is that China and Japan have exchanged control on the islands, and Japanese side believe that they are in a disadvantaged position in dealing with China and trying to change the status quo again. So the current tension is not China's fault. So Chinese government has been asking Japan to talk with us to resolve the problem at the negotiation table. But the Japanese side refused to admit that there's disputes concerning the islands. So that undermines the foundation for dialogue with China.
There is something else that analysts are talking about when they look for a reason behind these tensions, and that is some of them feel that Shinzo Abe, the Japanese Prime Minister, is fueling nationalism in his country.
Well, I have to say that there's some concern from Japanese side about the rise of China. We sense that the China-Japan relationship changed drastically after China became #2 in 2010. So the reason behind the change of the relationship is that the Japanese side has more concern about China's rise. They don't believe that China will go in a peaceful way of development, and they believe that China's rise is at the cost of Japanese interest. So on this misunderstanding, the Japanese side made more provocations and tried to target China, to deal with China. So that is the basic reason, make the two sides unable to have a peaceful and friendly relationship with each other. Well, I have to say that the Chinese government has been trying to show our kindness, to show Japan that we will be a responsible player, we will be a good neighbor. Unfortunately, the Japanese side still have some miscalculation on Chinese government's positions, on our attitudes toward regional countries. So on this point, it is the time for the two sides to communicate more and to exchange more to avoid more misconception and avoid more provocations, especially from the Japanese side.
Yeah, I just want to get back to something our reporter was talking about just a moment ago, and that was the Japanese decision to increase pretty significantly its defense budget. China has expressed concerns over that. What is the impact of that going to be on the relationship?
I have to say that China does have some concern about the increase of defense budget of Japan. We are not overreacting. We don't say that this increase definitely leads more trouble to the relationship. But why we concern is that Japanese have been trying to portray China as a threat to regional countries, especially to Japan. And in its defense program guideline, in its national strategy, China is described as a target of as an enemy of Japan. So that is why China is concerned. We are concerned about the future relationship of Japan and Japan's attitude toward us. We believe that if they continue to go in that way, they will go to a way of militarization, and China will be used as an excuse to expand their military expenses, and that definitely will influence the bilateral relationship.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.